Okay then, hello everyone, and on T450, I'm Jack Dove. Unfortunately, I can't make it to Jane Blunt's tutorial this weekend, so I'm settling for second best, as I'm making this YouTube video so that you can all hear me talk about my project for yourselves. It'll be easier than me typing it up on the forum, and then hopefully I can give you all some ideas, and then if you watch my video, you can type up some responses on the forum and help give me some ideas, because really that's what the tutorials are about for me, giving me ideas for things that I can do to improve my performance on. So, onto what my project is about. I've decided to do my project based on structural integrity, failure of stress materials, and I'm basing it on the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster of February 2003. You can see here, the Columbia disaster was caused by a piece of foam striking the left side of the space shuttle on the left wing and leading to, ultimately, superheated gases from re-entry penetrating the wing structure and causing the shuttle to break apart. This is actually a piece of material I used for my Bedford College studies, my IVA, some years back. I've decided to base my project on the same thing because it is of my personal interest. It is, so it's best as if I use something which I feel comfortable with, that I have plenty of information on, and that I know I can produce something interesting with it. It's always better to use something you're interested in. My project in general, is to focus on how the soft foam material was able to bring down the shuttle. That's what my title is how could soft foam bring down the Space Shuttle Columbia. But my project will start basically by explaining how such a lightweight, low-density piece of material, which weighed less than 2 pounds, was able to break a huge hole in a hardened reinforced carbon composite material. It's to evaluate the actual fracture mechanics behind the impact. It is the driving forces behind it, the fracture mechanics of the material. I've used the investigation report to look at it, and it was the main source of information for my project. However, it does not detail specifically the actual fracture mechanics behind the foam impact, like how could it penetrate through the carbon composite material. So, by using concepts from T450 structural integrity, I hope to try and explain the actual failure mechanisms behind it, how the foam broke through the material, the forces behind the impact, the driving forces behind it, as well as focus on the operating conditions of the space shuttle during launch and its orbital phase and re-entry. But also I wish to. It's not just again, failure mechanisms. The report does explain how the foam detached, but it doesn't settle on a specific failure mechanism of how the foam was able to break off when it did and how it was able to strike the shuttle. It was as hard as it did. But the next thing is we know that the foam led to the wing leading edge being breached, which allowed the superheated gases generated by friction with the Earth's atmosphere on re-entry to burn through the structure of the wing. But it doesn't explain necessarily how the wing structure failed. It doesn't. So I'll show here one of my books. You can see the design of the wing structure. The foam was able to burn through the wing. It was up until the point where it could no longer bear the loads imposed on it during re-entry, and thus the wing broke off, leading to the shuttle going out of control, and thus breaking apart. The accident investigation report does not specifically detail how the shuttle broke apart. It didn't on re-entry after the wing broke off. How did the shuttle break into several pieces and then break into multiple pieces like this here? It does provide some details, it does, about how the crew compartment, which did break off in one piece, held together up to a certain point, but it doesn't detail specifically how the shuttle exactly broke apart, apart from the wing breaking off, leading to loss of control of the spacecraft and all that stuff. But it doesn't detail any of the forces generated on the wing during re-entry, the specific temperatures. So I wish to focus on the period at which the shuttle broke apart when it did. And by looking at the design of the wing and reviewing onboard data that was recovered from the impounded in mission control, I hope to basically explain how, and looking at the design of the structure itself using T450 concepts, I hope to identify the point, like using the M plus R equals J equation, if that is the right way forward. I mean, you might know what I'm talking about. It's been a while since I looked at it. I hope to identify the point at which exactly I can look at exactly how the heat penetrated through the wing up until the point of failure. So that's what the report does not cover. It does not detail. It doesn't how the point of failure, which the wing broke off. It doesn't. As in the sensors, it only details. It does the sequence of sensors which failed. It up until the loss of data from the spacecraft. So other things I'll have to look at are the material properties of the wing's aluminium structure, as well as the operating conditions again involved. I'm repeating myself a bit. You'll have to forgive me. It's just easier for me to explain it like this. Also, I wish to focus on the material properties of the heat shield and the wing leading edge material that was penetrated, and the material properties of the foam and things like that. But one other thing I wish to look at is hopefully by using examples of past debris strikes and past damages that were caused by foam, I may be able to look at how the shuttle was able to cheat, sort of like cheat death so many times. And by looking again at the operating conditions and point at which Columbia failed, and how the shuttle was maneuvered on re-entry, I may be able to look at how all these conditions of re-entry and the operating conditions might have been changed so that maybe the shuttle could have made it down further, down to an altitude of 40,000 feet, when the crew could have bailed out of the spacecraft and parachuted down safely. One thing I want to look at is STS-27, the 27th shuttle mission. Again, here's some pictures of my book. You can see the white dings indicate foam impact, debris impact from another kind of material from the solid rocket boosters that were able to break a whole tile away, and this is the kind of damage that would have doomed the shuttle if not for the fact that the aluminium had been much thicker it had in this area, and this was one of the areas of peak heating it was. So could the Columbia have re-entered at another angle or something and reduced the amount of heat, or could the loads on the wing have been reduced so that the heating wouldn't have had as much effect, and things like that. That's what I hope to look at. I mean, looking at past heat shield damage, would also present a case as to why NASA ignored such a problem up until Columbia was brought down. I mean, again, these past incidents will help build my case into the material properties of heat shield materials and the foam impact and things like that. So really, that's how I plan to pursue my project. If anyone can provide some feedback into this, I would appreciate it, and I hope I can give you all some rough ideas. But again, my focus will be on the fraction mechanics involved behind the foam strike, the science of impact damage, and material properties, and also operating conditions, and looking at how they could be altered. Those are the key aspects. I hope you all find this useful, and I hope to get some interesting feedback from you all, and hopefully you can give me some ideas which I could have received at the tutorial if I had been able to make it. So to all of you taking part in this, here's one bit of advice my mentor has given me. You must have a strong foundation for your project work, because without a strong foundation you're not going to succeed if you don't know what you're doing. I hope now I do. Thank you all.